Hello and welcome to a new week of meals, jumping straight into our first easy one. I am cooking up a sheet pan chicken quesadilla using chicken in a bag. That is right, a rotisserie chicken. I am just shredding up real easy. Again, Monday nights, I just want it to go super easy. So I'm just taking my shredded rotisserie chicken, adding some fresh salsa here from Aldi, as well as the salsa con queso from Aldi. And then I am just going to mix these three ingredients up, and that is going to make up the filling for my quesadillas. I'm taking these large flour tortillas now, and I'm going to arrange them on the sheet pan. Now, there are only 3 of us, so I really didn't need to use this entire pan, and realized that I didn't need to do this, so I omitted one of these tortillas, and I just kind of made a little bit of a smaller one. So basically, this recipe for us is a smaller, sort of half-size sheet pan. If you've got a bigger family, feel free to make more filling, use more tortillas, and make a bigger sheet pan quesadilla. Once I've spread out the chicken filling, I'm just going to top with some Mexican-style shredded cheese. I could have done this on the bottom layer as well as over the chicken. However, I didn't have as much. The other thing I wanted to mention was I separated out a small section for myself because I'm not going to eat it with the tortilla. So that's just off to the side in the bowl, and you'll see it. I'm going to place everything on this sheet pan to cook in the oven. So now I'm just trying to figure out how best to fold this. And it doesn't really matter, to be honest, just as long as the filling doesn't leak out. So I'm just doing my best here. It is a very large quesadilla, so it's definitely a two-hander here. So I'm gonna flip that over to make sure all the seams stay shut. And then I'm gonna hit this with a bit of cooking spray so that it can crisp up a little bit. And here is my portion of that filling. Again, I'm just gonna put it on the sheet pan. I think for us, since there are only 3 of us, the quesadilla itself, I think would have been really cool if it filled the entire sheet pan. But for convenience sake, instead of doing, say, 2 separate quesadillas and then warming up my portion on the stovetop, this all goes into the oven at one time. So I think that is the draw for this particular meal that I'm making for my family tonight. So here we go. I'm just pulling it out, and then I'm just going to slice up the quesadilla with a pizza cutter. And there you go, first meal of the week. I have my tortilla-less version here, and then the guys with a dollop of sour cream on both. Next up, I am making a meat sauce to go with some pasta for the family. Now, I change it up every single time I do this, so I don't have a particular recipe per se, but I'll just walk you through exactly what I decided to add this time around. If you are an oldie but goldie, you'll notice the absence of my beloved colorful plastic cutting boards that served me well over many many years, and I was glad to pass those on to a neighbor. But I am so excited to have upgraded to this gorgeous bamboo cutting board by Holtzy. To say that I am in love with it is a huge understatement. It just fits my style and cooking workflow so well that I feel like it really was just made for me, because you know how much I've mentioned in other videos, I love chopping. It's very therapeutic for me. So I am really enjoying my Holtzy cutting board experience here. But I'm just going to keep going here with the recipe and just let the board speak for itself. If you would like a full review, could you just let me know in the comments down below. And if you are ready to go ahead and snag one of these up for yourself, just be sure to use the link and the discount code in the description box for 10% off. Just finishing up mincing my first bit of the aromatics here. We've got some garlic, and then I wanted to go ahead and use some mushrooms. Now these mushrooms have kind of been hanging out in the fridge for a bit. I did get rid of the stems because they weren't that great looking, but I did decide to go ahead and use the caps of the mushrooms. So I'm just gonna slice these up, get these prepped, and then I will add that to the sauce so we don't waste any of that, and we'll just cook that down in the sauce at the very end. Going to bring this over now to the stovetop because I'm ready to cook, and I had actually pre-chopped some onion and some bell peppers earlier in the week, so those are ready to go, and I'm just adding the onions now to a hot pan with some extra virgin olive oil, and I'm going to saute that as well as add the garlic here for the aromatics, and I'm going to cook that down to start. And here is that bell pepper. This is actually an orange bell pepper, so you can use any color you like, green, red. I do believe, correct me if I am wrong, I do believe they're just different stages of ripeness, or yeah, so like they start out green and then they eventually turn yellow or red, or vice versa. Anyway, here we go, orange. I did season with some salt and pepper, and then I'm just making a little space here for my ground beef. I'm going to cook that down, and then I'm going to season each layer, so I will hit that with a little bit more seasoning a little bit later. Like right now. Here's the salt, and here is the pepper. Just gonna stir that up again until it is fully cooked, and then we'll just mix everything through. This is the jar sauce that I'm going to use. It is from Aldi. It's really good and very comparable to the Rao's marinara. So I'm just going to set that aside. I'm adding the mushrooms so I can cook those down before adding the jar pasta sauce. So I'm just adding that right now, and then you'll just see I will go ahead and add the last bit of a seasoning that I wanted to add after tasting it a bit, and then the jar marinara sauce. I'm adding some oregano here. You can add anything, if you like it spicy, you can also add some red pepper flakes. That would be really good. You can add more, some garlic powder, some onion powder. What else can you do? maybe a little hint of nutmeg or something like that. I'm also adding a bit of ketchup here. You can do tomato paste, tomato sauce. You can also add some sweetener if you like it a little bit sweeter. So you just do it to your taste, and that's the thing that I love about cooking, is that you can just tailor it to what you like, and I think that's the beauty of the whole thing. So here's some Parmesan cheese I just decided to go ahead and add to create a bit of that nutty flavor within the sauce itself. Of course, there's going to be some Parmesan cheese up on the top, but this also adds a bit of like that gooiness to it. So just a lid on that. Here's dinner. Here's mine without pasta and some shredded Mexican style cheese. I have a sweet kale salad to go with mine, and then the guy's dinner in the back. Continuing with the sort of Italian theme dinner, I am making an antipasto salad that I am just doing during the morning. So morning prep, I'm making a salad, just placing my acrylic trays on deck here so that I can use them while I cook. And then I'm also going to be sharpening my knife because I haven't done that in a while and it was starting to get a bit dull. So just giving a few passes through this knife sharpener, and then giving it a quick wipe to make sure we don't have any, remnants of metal or, anything on the knife before we cook. And then here we go. Super easy to slice through. Cutting with a sharp knife is amazing. So make sure you're not working with dull blades because a sharp knife will make your experience in the kitchen a lot more enjoyable. This is a super easy, keto-friendly, low-carb antipasto salad that you can make. I got the idea from Ashley Salvatori. I will link her channel down below if you are interested in more keto meal ideas and if you're following a low-carb diet. So I'm going to basically just add some bell peppers to my salad. I'm going to add some cheese. I'm going to add some meat, some olives, and then a really easy, simple dressing. So now I'm just dumping everything into that bowl in the background, and I'm going to combine everything in there. So here is a block of mozzarella cheese. You can use any cheese that you like, I think, but mozzarella just lends itself to the sort of Italian flavors. It's mild, but here we go. I'm just dicing that up, and then I'm going to sweep them across into the acrylic tray off to my right. The thing I do like about this board is that, with a quick swipe to the right, you have the entire cutting surface at your fingertips again. So it just makes it very, very easy to work with ingredients and then transfer them to where you need them to go. I'm adding some Italian dry salami here. I'm just going to slice them. Now, if you get the actual sausage links, you can cube those up. But I wasn't able to find that at Aldi, so I went ahead and bought these pre-sliced deli sort of sliced Italian salami bits, and then I am just going to slice them this way, kind of fan them out, and just it's all going in the same place, right? It's all going in your mouth and in your stomach. So just as long as it's in bite-sized pieces, somehow it's going to make it a really good salad. So you're really here just for the flavors. So here we go. I'm I am separating out the little strips, and then I realize I probably need a bigger bowl. So I transfer everything to a larger bowl, and then I decide that I am going to add the second bell pepper. I love the bell peppers because they do add a bit of sweetness, but then also it's got that crunch, that fresh crunch when you bite into every spoonful or forkful. It's just gonna enhance that that dining experience. Just making sure I get rid of all the seeds. A seed here or there is not going to hurt you, but I'm also trimming off just a bit of these white ribs from the inside, and then I'm going to dice those up and add it to the salad. You'll notice I'm watching a bit of YouTube. I do this all the time if you've watched any of my vlogs. I love watching YouTube, and here I'm just getting a bit of inspiration for spring cleaning by watching some cleaning motivation videos. But so that is keeping me company while I dump the rest of the bell peppers into the salad. I'm going to add some olives. I have a can of whole olives. You can obviously get sliced olives. You don't even have to put olives if you don't want them, but I'm going to add them for a bit of color and then also just flavor and added fat. Just a quick wipe down here of the board so that when I put the bowl on here, it's not going to get too wet on the bottom. And then I'm going to mix everything up. So I have some white wine vinegar, olive oil, and pepper. Again, just do this to taste. If you like it super tart, add more acid. And then this is some olive oil that I have. This is what I use. I got a huge container of it from Costco. I'm going to mix this up, and that is pretty much ready to go. Again, I'm doing this in the morning. I'm going to put some plastic wrap over it, stick it in the fridge, and that is ready to go for this evening. Making up some easy pizzas by using Trader Joe's pre-made dough here, and then just some leftovers. We've got barbecue sauce, leftover red onion, we have some marinara, we have leftover rotisserie chicken and some other ingredients here. I'm going to do a barbecue chicken pizza here for me and Rob. Here's Colin's, one of his cheese pizzas. He had two. And there's that antipasto salad. A very, very easy and delicious meal. The last meal I'm sharing with you is a shepherd's pie. This is the first time I am making an actual quote-unquote authentic shepherd's pie using minced ground lamb. So yeah, I was a bit nervous because Rob and Colin don't really like lamb so much, but but I really like it. So I am prepping some potato by peeling it, as well as a carrot. You saw I gave a little bit of carrots to the dogs as a little bit of a treat. Wiping up the board here, and then I'm going to chunk this potato up into about 1-inch pieces. This one I do have a recipe for, so that will definitely be linked down below. Just note that I halved this recipe since I only had 1 pound of ground lamb. So I'm just double checking the recipe again on my iPad mini just to make sure that I have all the ingredients that I need, and then I'm going to continue prepping the veg. So this is some celery, and then I'm going to dice that, and then I'm also going to do the same thing to the carrot. going in to mince the garlic, and I just, I've never made this before and I really wanted to. I know I don't normally follow a recipe, but I wanted to make sure that I was more or less following the proportions of everything, especially since I was having everything. I was trying to do all the math in my head to make sure I did it right, because I did want to have a more traditional recipe that I was following. And like I said, I've never really made this before. So I'm going to halve my onion here, and I'm just going to use that half. I'm going to dice that up real finely. And I just, as much as it pains my eyes to finely dice onions, it is such an enjoyable experience for me. It truly, truly is. I'm strange. I know I'm strange, but this is going to go into the prep tray off to the right, and that'll be ready to go. I am adding a generous amount of salt to some boiling water so that I can cook the potatoes until they are fork tender. So I'm going to do that now, and once those are ready, I'll set those aside to mash, and that's going to go on top of the ground lamb. Just a bit of a wipe down since I splashed a bit of water from the potato, from the pot with the potatoes. So just going to wipe that down. And then I'm going to go ahead then and prep the ground lamb. Moving everything over so that I have my recipe to reference and double check to make sure I don't miss any ingredients. Taking my skillet, adding some extra virgin olive oil, and while the oil heats up, I am finely dicing or mincing some fresh rosemary that I got from a neighbor, so that was really nice. And then there is the lamb. I did get that from Aldi. Again, I never bought ground lamb before, but I am seasoning it here with salt and pepper. And then I am going to add some flour. Now, the recipe calls for gravy granules, and as much as I want it to be authentic, I don't know what that is or where to find it. So the recipe did have a note that said if you don't have gravy granules, go ahead and add flour. Now, I think I added this a little early, but it all works out in the end. It all stays basically in the same meat filling mixture. So I'm going to remove the meat now once it has fully cooked and it's fully browned. I'm going to leave the liquid and the fat in the skillet so that I can saute the veg. There is the diced onion, and then I'm also going to add the carrots and celery. Saute that until they're nice and softened. And then I should have added the garlic, but completely spaced, so I will add that at a later point. In the meantime, the potatoes are nice and tender. I am draining them, and then I'm going to add some butter, doing a bit of multitasking, making sure that the sauteed veg doesn't burn, and then I'm going to go back to the potatoes and mash the potatoes with the butter. Once the potatoes are nice and smooth, I'm going to add some heavy cream here as well as some salt and pepper and then a little bit of nutmeg. I have never added nutmeg to mashed potatoes before, but I did so conservatively. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't go overboard since I have never added that before, and I'm sure just a little hint of it will enhance the potatoes the way they're supposed to be enhanced. So I'm switching to a spatula now just to mix everything through to make sure all of the seasoning is mixed throughout, and then I'm going to set that aside after a little bit of a taste and then go to work on the ground beef, the ground lamb mixture. Adding some beef bouillon that I mixed with some water to deglaze here. And then I am going to also add some Worcestershire sauce, and I'm going to mix that through. Added a bay leaf and the rosemary as well as a bit of thyme. And again, salt and pepper just to season the layers. I'm adding the ground lamb back into the skillet. That is going to get mixed through with some additional beef bouillon. The other thing I did replace, again, this was in the notes of the recipe, you can add red wine to this, which I didn't use. So I went ahead and used a substitution of beef bouillon. So just make a note of that as well. If you want to use the wine, excellent. I'm sure it really gives it a depth of flavor. I checked the recipe again, you noticed, and I forgot the garlic. This is the point at which I added the garlic. And then I also remembered, I forgot the tomato puree. The recipe calls for tomato puree. To me, that means tomato sauce. So I don't know if that's right or not, but it worked out in the end. I think the texture on the inside and the moisture was just fine. So I think that worked. I think that worked for me. So that is supposed to now simmer for like 25 to 35 minutes, something like that. So here it is after that amount of time. I'm going to remove the bay leaf so that nobody accidentally eats it. So just set that aside. And then I'm going to transfer everything to my baking dish. This is just a ceramic baking dish. If I had used a smaller skillet, I definitely could have just added the potatoes on top of that and put that into the oven. But as I didn't have enough beef to fill that, really fill that skillet, I just went ahead and put it here. So I'm flattening it out, and then I'm adding my fluffy potatoes. They turned out really nice and fluffy and just really good. Can't really even tell that it had nutmeg in it, but I'm sure it enhanced it a little bit. And then I'm just smoothing that out. I'm going to top this with some shredded Parmesan cheese, and then that is going to go into the oven. Make sure to use a rimmed baking tray in case anything bubbles up. And here we go. This is the finished shepherd's pie. I think it looks really good. It was exciting to see it come out of the oven so golden brown. I did give it a few minutes under the broiler so it could get nice and golden, but this is what it looks like on the inside, and it tasted really yummy. So I don't know how well I did with regards to authenticity and being traditional about it all, but it made for a really good dinner. Rob definitely was like, it still tastes like lamb. I don't know. I really like lamb, and I didn't think it tasted like it had an aftertaste or anything like that, but he still ate it. He took some for lunch today, but that is the shepherd's pie. So yummy with some green beans on the side. Definitely could have used some more meat mixture. I think the potatoes, you can tell in the baking dish, was a little bit disproportionate, but it was such a good dinner. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're interested in the cutting board, check out the link down below and be sure to use the discount code if you decide to pick one up for yourself. Thank you so much again, and I will see you in the next video. Take care until then.